Let me begin with a gentle reminder, the kind that does not shout but slowly settles into the heart. Life is not a straight line. Life is a journey with many chapters. Some chapters are loud, some are quiet, some are full of struggle, and some are full of grace. Marriage is one such chapter in a woman's life. It is important, it is meaningful, but it is not the final page of her story. A woman's life does not end after marriage. In many ways, it truly begins there. From a young age, society subtly teaches a girl that marriage is the ultimate destination. Study well so you can get a good match. Learn household skills so you can become a good wife. Behave properly so you can fit into another family. Slowly, without realizing it, the girl starts believing that her worth, her success, and her fulfillment will be decided by one event. But life does not work that way. Marriage is not a finish line. It is a doorway. What lies beyond that doorway depends on awareness, courage, and self-respect. I once met a woman in her early 30s who seemed calm on the outside but deeply tired on the inside. She was married, had children, managed the home perfectly, and everyone around her praised her. Yet one day she said something that stayed with me. She said, "I do everything right, but I don't know who I am anymore." That sentence holds the pain of many women. Somewhere between responsibilities and expectations, they lose connection with themselves. Not because marriage took something away, but because they were never taught that they are allowed to continue growing after marriage. Marriage adds roles to a woman's life, but it should not erase her identity. She becomes a wife, maybe a mother, a daughter-in-law, but she is still a human being with dreams, talents, emotions, and a purpose. Just as a river does not stop flowing when it enters a new land, a woman should not stop evolving when she enters marriage. If the river stops, it becomes stagnant. If a woman stops growing, her joy slowly fades. There is a beautiful story of a woman who loved painting since childhood. After marriage, life became busy. New home, new responsibilities, adjusting to new people. Her brushes stayed packed in a box for years. One day, her child found those brushes and asked, "Mama, what is this?" That simple question shook her. She realized she had buried a part of herself to fit into a role. That evening, she unpacked the box. She started painting again, slowly, imperfectly, but joyfully. Over time, painting became her space of healing. She was a better mother, a calmer wife, not because she sacrificed more, but because she remembered herself. A woman's happiness is not a luxury. It is a necessity. When a woman is emotionally fulfilled, she nurtures from abundance, not exhaustion. But many women are taught that self-care is selfish, that ambition is arrogance, that setting boundaries is disrespect. This belief system quietly drains them. They smile, they serve, they sacrifice. But inside, something keeps whispering, "What about me?" Marriage does not mean submission of the soul. It means partnership. Partnership thrives when both individuals are whole. If a woman constantly shrinks herself to keep others comfortable, she will one day feel invisible in her own life. Strength does not mean rebellion. Strength means knowing your worth and living in alignment with it. I remember another woman who married very young. She paused her education because she was told, "Now your responsibility is your home." Years later, when her children grew up, she felt empty. She told herself it was too late. But one day she enrolled in evening classes. People laughed, some criticized, but she persisted. At 45, she earned her degree, not for a job, not for society, but for her own dignity. She said, "I did not do this to prove anything to anyone. I did this to remind myself that my mind still matters." A woman's life has seasons: youth, marriage, motherhood, maturity, wisdom. Each season has its own beauty. Ending one season does not mean ending life. It means entering another phase with deeper understanding. The problem is not marriage. The problem is the belief that growth must stop after marriage. Marriage teaches patience. It teaches compromise. But compromise should not mean losing your voice. Adjusting should not mean erasing your dreams. Love does not demand that you abandon yourself. True love supports growth. If a plant stops growing, it is not stable, it is dying. Similarly, A relationship where one person stops growing becomes heavy instead of harmonious. There was a time when a woman's survival depended entirely on marriage. But times have changed. Today, a woman has the opportunity to learn, earn, express, and evolve at any stage of life. Still, mental conditioning holds many back. They fear judgment more than regret. They choose approval over authenticity. But at the end of life, people really regret trying. They regret not trying. A woman after marriage carries invisible emotional labor. She remembers birthdays, manages emotions, smooths conflicts, holds everyone together. Yet rarely does someone ask, "How are you really?" Mental strength for a woman comes from acknowledging her feelings instead of suppressing them. Crying is not weakness. Asking for support is not failure. Taking time for yourself is not neglect. There is a quiet power in a woman who knows herself. She does not need to shout. She does not need to compete. She moves with grace because she is rooted in self-respect. Marriage can amplify this power if she allows herself to remain connected to her inner world. Think of a lamp. When it gives light, it does not become empty. But if it is never refilled with oil, it will eventually burn out. A woman who only gives and never receives appreciation, rest, or self-growth will slowly lose her light. Refilling is not selfish, it is survival. I once heard an elderly woman say, "If I had one message for young women, it would be this: don't postpone yourself." She had lived a life of constant sacrifice. Only in her later years did she discover hobbies, friendships, and spiritual peace. She said she wished she had known earlier that life does not reward silent suffering. Life rewards conscious living. A woman's life after marriage should expand, not contract. Expand in wisdom, emotional intelligence, confidence, and contribution. She may choose to focus on family, career, creativity, or service. There is no single correct path. The mistake is believing there is only one acceptable version of a married woman. Inner fulfillment does not come from external validation. It comes from alignment. When what you do matches who you are, peace follows. When a woman lives only according to expectations, resentment quietly grows. And resentment poisons relationships more than any argument. Marriage is a shared journey, not a personal sacrifice mission. When a woman honors herself, she teaches others how to treat her. When she respects her time, energy, and dreams, the world slowly adjusts. Not everyone will understand, but understanding is not a prerequisite for living truthfully. Life after marriage can be a time of deep spiritual growth. A woman learns patience, empathy, and resilience. But spiritual growth does not mean suppressing desires, it means understanding them wisely. It means knowing when to say yes and when to say no without guilt. The truth is simple but powerful. A woman's life does not end after marriage because life is not defined by a role. Life is defined by consciousness. Long as a woman is breathing, learning, loving, and evolving, her life is alive. So if you are a woman listening to this, remember you are allowed to dream after marriage. You are allowed to grow after marriage. You are allowed to change after marriage. You are allowed to rest, to learn, to fail, and to begin again. Marriage is a chapter, not the conclusion. And if you are someone who loves a woman, remember this: do not clip her wings and call it protection. Do not silence her voice and call it respect. Walk beside her, grow with her, celebrate her becoming. Because when a woman is empowered, the family is stronger. When the family is balanced, society is healthier. And when society values women beyond roles, humanity moves forward. A woman's life does not end after marriage. It unfolds, it deepens, it rises in ways that are quieter but far more powerful. After marriage, a woman begins to understand life beyond fantasies. She learns the difference between expectations and reality, between attachment and love, between pleasing others and respecting herself. This awareness, though sometimes painful, is a gift. It refines her. It shapes her into someone deeper, wiser, and more grounded. Many women feel guilty for wanting more, more meaning, more growth, more space for themselves. They ask themselves, am I being ungrateful? But wanting to grow does not mean you are dissatisfied with your family. It means your soul is alive. Gratitude and ambition can coexist. Love for others does not require abandonment of self. A woman's inner world is vast. When she neglects it, she becomes restless. When she nurtures it, she becomes radiant. This nurturing may look different for each woman. For one, it may be education. For another, it may be spirituality. For someone else, it may be service, creativity, or leadership. There is no fixed formula. The only requirement is honesty with oneself. There is a subtle strength that develops when a woman stops seeking permission to be herself. She no longer waits for approval to feel worthy. She understands that validation from outside is temporary, but self-respect is permanent. This shift changes everything. Her relationships become healthier because they are no longer based on fear of loss but on mutual respect. I remember a story of a woman who spent years trying to be perfect. Perfect wife, perfect mother, perfect daughter-in-law. One day, exhausted, she fell ill. During her recovery, she was forced to slow down. In that silence, she realized she had never asked herself what she wanted. As she healed, she made small changes. She spoke honestly. She set gentle boundaries. She allowed herself rest. Her family did not fall apart. In fact, they became more understanding. Sometimes we fear change because we underestimate our strength and overestimate others' resistance. A woman's voice matters, especially after marriage. Not a loud voice, but a clear one. Clear about needs, clear about limits, clear about values. Suppressed emotions do not disappear. They transform into stress, resentment, and illness. Expressed emotions, when communicated with awareness, become bridges instead of barriers. Marriage can either become a cage or a classroom. A cage if a woman believes she must shrink to survive. A classroom if she uses experiences to grow in patience, wisdom, and self-awareness. The difference lies not in circumstances but in consciousness. As years pass, a woman realizes that people will always have opinions. If she lives only to satisfy them, she will lose herself. If she lives truthfully, some will disagree, but she will sleep peacefully. Peace is not found in approval. It is found in alignment. There is also a deep spiritual lesson here. Life is temporary. Roles are temporary. Even relationships, as precious as they are part of a larger journey. When a woman understands this, she stops clinging and starts flowing. She gives love freely, not out of fear. She serves joyfully, not out of obligation. A woman who continues to grow after marriage becomes a source of inspiration, not because she preaches, but because she lives with dignity. Her children learn courage by watching her. Her partner learns respect by growing alongside her. Her presence itself becomes a lesson. At different stages, her priorities may change. There may be years when family comes first, and years when personal growth takes center stage. Balance is not about doing everything at once. It's about doing the right thing at the right time, without losing yourself. If there is one truth to hold close, it is this: you do not owe the world the sacrifice of your soul. You owe the world your authenticity. A fulfilled woman contributes more than a drained one ever could. So let marriage be a foundation, not a limitation. Let it support your growth, not silence it. Let your life after marriage be rich with learning, love, mistakes, forgiveness, and renewal. Because a woman's life does not end after marriage. It matures, it expands inward, it becomes more meaningful. And when she honors that journey, she discovers something beautiful. That she was never meant to disappear into a role, but to shine through every role, as she plays. And as she continues on this path, something very gentle yet very powerful happens inside her. She stops competing with others and starts connecting with herself. She no longer measures her life by comparing it with someone else's timeline. She understands that every life unfolds at its own pace. Some flowers bloom early, some late, but every flower blooms when the season is right. There will be days when she feels tired, overwhelmed, or even invisible. That does not mean she is weak. It means she is human. Strength is not about never feeling low, it is about not abandoning yourself when you do. A woman who learns to sit with her emotions instead of running from them develops emotional maturity that cannot be taught in books. Often, women are told to adjust, compromise, and sacrifice. Adjustment is beautiful when it is mutual. Compromise is healthy when it is balanced. Sacrifice is noble when it is conscious. But when these become one-sided, they slowly erode self-worth. A wise woman learns to ask herself a simple question. Is this costing me my peace? If the answer is yes, it deserves attention. There is a story of a woman who loved painting as a child. After marriage, life became busy. Responsibilities increased. Years passed and her brushes gathered dust. One day, her young daughter asked her, "Mama, what do you like to do?" She was silent. That question shook her. That evening, she picked up her brush again. She painted in small moments, early mornings, quiet afternoons. Slowly, she came back to life. Her daughter didn't just see a mother. She saw a woman who honored her passions. That is how legacies are built, not through words but through living examples. A woman does not lose her identity by loving deeply. She loses it by forgetting herself completely. Love should add to your life, not erase you from it. When a woman is whole, her love is richer, calmer, and more stable. As time goes on, she learns the art of boundaries. Not walls, but boundaries. Walls isolate, boundaries protect. She learns to say yes without resentment and no without guilt. This clarity brings peace, not conflict. People may resist at first, but eventually they respect consistency. There is also a quiet courage in choosing growth